Hello everyone and welcome to the 5th episode of Undercards for the smallest ones. And before introducing you to the world of some professional deck building, I have decided to make a video about a very important trick. This trick will help you to understand the game better and as a result will improve your overall performance. The trick is about your actions while playing your deck. And of course I am going to demonstrate it a bit later, but to start with, you have to ask questions when you play your cards, and I'll tell you a bit more about it. Firstly, you have to ask a question why you play this exact card right now. Secondly, you have to ask a question how your opponent can potentially deal with this card. And thirdly, you have to ask a question what you are going to do next turn after playing this card. That's pretty obvious that you shouldn't ask those questions playing undercards on a daily basis. However, it's a very good practice, and especially for those who have just started playing, or for those who can't really play their deck and just make too many mistakes. And I have to tell you that I sometimes do it myself, but of course most of the time I do it subconsciously. And you really have to know that a good analysis can help you win games. And now I'm going to give you an example of me playing this way and asking some questions. And of course, that's just an example. You can do it yourself and you should do it yourself, especially if you are experiencing some difficulties playing ranked. And yes, I'm going to use Deal Justice for this, because I want to spoil the deck I'm going to use for the professional deck building video. So let's get to some games. So we are playing against some Mines Justice, which means this may be Aggro Justice, which means we should really keep at least one damage dealing card. This analysis can also be done during your Mulligan, and that's pretty obvious as well. I'll mute him because I don't like those emotes and emotes in general. And yes, as I've mentioned, this is really something like burst. And for now, I want to play So Sorry. Why I want to use So Sorry? This way, I can play my Doodle Block right now, or alternatively, I can play it for my attack, and then I can trade off Pyrope pretty easily. So I am going for this play. Alternatively, I can just skip a turn and then kill Pyrope using my Caesar Dancer. But this way, I'll lose tempo, so I should go for this play instead. This is pretty much how you should analyze your plays. And of course, at the same time, I know that my opponent has very few gold left, so he can barely handle this pressure, and this is why I prefer this play. Now, I want to play Doodlebog. Of course, I am playing against Mines Justice, which means he runs some spells, which means if he casts something like Strafe, then I'm pretty much screwed. And of course, this means I still want to play Doodle Block just to gain some additional space in my hand, but I want to play it on the left instead of playing it on the right, just to get some additional HP in case he plays some spells. So I do it like this. How my opponent can react to this? He can play some spells, and he can also play some deal cards, but he played spells, and that's pretty nice. Now, we have a problem. We really have some deal cards, but we don't really need them right now. And we have to decide what we're going to play. We can play Politician as a solid body. And if we play it right now, we have 1 gold left, which means next turn we'll have 7 gold. Having 7 gold will not solve our problems, so instead, when we cast Strafe right now, we will have 9 gold, and we need 10 gold. So we just skip our turn, let our card burn, but at the same time, we set up our Onion Sun, or just Strafe in case he has some cards. Okay, that's nice, because now we have Silence, and as you may notice, if we played Politician Bear last turn, we wouldn't have this Silence, which means we are doing this right. Okay, our opponent reacts this way, and now we should really play Onion Sun. Okay, why we should play it right now? It's pretty obvious that our opponent has very few gold left, and in case he has a huge removal, we will have our tentacles left that will help us deal some additional damage with Scissor Dancer and Vulcan, and also we have a pretty decent hand with our deal cuts, so no matter how he deals with our Onion Sun, we are in a winning position, so we just play it as it is. Of course, the bad thing in my hand is double Politician Bear, and really no good targets for them. Okay, he just goes for shootout. That's great, because right now we still have Onion Sun alive, and we can just play. Okay, we can just play, but what we are going to play in here? As you can notice, we can play Scissor Dancer or Vulcan, and of course we have a very interesting play that I'm going to play, but let's analyze this first. We can play Vulcan to easily remove Lancer, and that's a good play. Also, we can play Scissor Dancer to deal additional damage using our Vulcans. But the third play is even better. We can play Vulcan face and then Politician Bear into Vulcan just to create additional body and additional pressure. And also we use this face damage and really don't waste any of our burst damage that is left in our hand. This is probably the best play in there, and yeah, I really like that play. Now our opponent clears the bot, but that's nothing because we really have a lot of useful cuts left. And now what I am going to do is just probably play Vulcan and Fuku. Why so? Playing Vulcan and Fuku, we really have additional options to like remove some opponent's cuts, and at the same time we create additional pressure, and if our opponent doesn't answer to this, he lost the game. At the same time we still have some removal combination, and this is the best play, even though it seems to be weird. And yeah, it's really like this. Even though our opponent still manages to somehow continue playing the game, we are already won because we have some Astigmatism which deal damage, we have some Sorceries that just spam some cuts, and he just has some mines and some mines triggers. And now we won. This is how you can win the game, by just asking you questions. And of course, as you may have noticed, I asked questions mainly at the start of the game, because it's the most important part, and during the early game you have to spend your resources very accurately, you don't have to waste them, you have to use all the opportunities, and this way you'll definitely win the game. And now let's get to the second game. Our opponent has power and poke on integrity, which means he's probably running some aggro integrity. How we have to mulligan against integrity in general? We always have to keep our so sorry, because it's extremely useful. He's playing integrity, which means he can use inflation to buff his faced cards and then just kill us immediately. How we have react to this? We can't skip our turns. We have to play as many cards as possible and deal as much face damage as possible in the shortest period of time. So we just play a bear so sorry and skip our turn. We have all the answers we need to his charge cards, so we just have to play as many cards as we have and to deal as many face damage as we can. That's what we are going to do. He just wants to rush our face, and he can do it pretty well. We have 12 HP left, but at the same time we clear this easily using Strafe. Why we should use Strafe? Because this is a huge value, and then we have many other options left in our hand. So we use Strafe for sure and just deal as much damage as possible right now. We don't set up lethal yet, but that's a huge amount of damage. And if he plays some, okay, he has additional charge, For now, what we can really do? We can get some additional heal, use Politician Bear as a Fuku, and set up our own lethal. This is the best play since we get additional heal and since we just hit our opponent's face badly. Now he has 8 gold left, and for 8 gold it is really hard to find enough burst damage to remove 10 HP. He probably has some transparency in his hand, and he probably has some charges, but that's not enough for sure. And this means we probably won. However, yeah, we really won, and he goes for trade, but we have lethal either way. So, I played 2 games, and I won them just because I answered my questions. And of course, if you can answer the question you ask, then you are doing it correctly. If you are not sure whether you want to play this card or not, just try to think over all the possibilities, and of course you'll find the right play after all. For now I am in low legend, and I am going to record a video about professional deck building to show you a deck I am going to use ranking up to top 10. I still have a week left, so I guess that would be enough for me. And of course, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, share this video, send this video to the friends who need some help, and also I'd like to ask you to leave some questions in the comment section, and I'll answer them and maybe even make a video on your question devoted to it, because I really know that many Undercards players have their questions, they want to get the answer, but instead they just get some dose of trolling, and I really want to help those. I really want to help all the beginning players, so I'm really ready to make a video devoted to a concrete subject. Thank you for your attention, good luck, and see you soon!